Thank you for joining me. Here we have the start of making noodles. First off, crack the appropriate number of eggs. Each recipe that we have has a different amount of each ingredient, or at least of some of the ingredients. And once we have the amount of eggs cracked that we need for this particular recipe, we will then look to add water, as the dough will need a required amount of moisture, obviously. So we'll put the bowl on the scale and then pour in the amount of water that we need for this particular recipe. We'll make sure we give this a nice mixing to make sure that the eggs and the water are thoroughly mixed. And then next we'll measure out our flour. And again, each type of pasta will have its own specific amounts of flour. Some will have different types of flour mixed together. Some are all the same flour. This particular variety that we're making today has two different kinds, so you will have noticed there I'm taking flour from two different sources. And we start by adding the flour into the mixing bowl. And then it's time to add the egg mixture. And then we allow it to mix for 5 to 6 minutes until you get somewhat of a powdery texture. This dough does not form into a hard dough ball like a bun dough or a pizza dough. It turns into a crumbly type mixture. And after 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes, we'll take and portion the dough into smaller containers. Doing this will make it much easier for transferring the dough over to the dough or over to the pasta extruder. And with the smaller batches, it's better suited for the reservoir for the dough in the pasta extruder, as we can't put a whole batch in at once. Sorry, this view is a little bit further away from the extruder, but we will bring the camera in close shortly. here you have a view of the pasta extruder in action. You can notice there's a cutter on there. We can predetermine the length that we want for each noodle just by adjusting a control knob, which I will show you shortly as well. This machine goes under high pressure, and the head on it that I just put my hand on there, it does get very warm if you don't cool it, and this particular machine is water cooled, so we run a cold water line through it and it helps keep that head cool. You can see how the dough gets mixed up in there. It helps to keep it in a powdery form. And here's the dial that we have to adjust, and I want it to go a little bit faster here, so I turn it up just a hair. That way the noodles become just a little bit shorter, because now the blade will go faster. The next step is to take it from that bowl and spread it out on the tables. This is how we dry all of the noodles. All of the tables have fans that blow air on the noodles to help in the drying process. We also run a dehumidifier in the shop, because when these things dry, they give off a lot of humidity, and we need to try and take that out of the air to help with the drying process. And here you have it, about 6 to 6.5 hours later. I have all of the tables filled here, and I'm going to have roughly 400 pounds worth of these particular noodles. These are what we call our narrow noodles. These are great for chicken noodle soup. They're also great for spaghetti. And as mentioned earlier, these will now sit here and dry. They have to dry for roughly 3 days, depending on what type of pasta it is that we make. If it's the wider ones, they can dry up to 4 days. Once these noodles have dried, then we put them into large Rubbermaid bins or similar type bins, and try to have them packaged fairly soon after. We don't want them to just sit in those bins for a long time. Get them into their individual bags. We weigh out every bag at a time, just a single bag at a time. We pour them through the chute. It helps to direct them all into the bags. And some of these noodles will twist together pretty good when they're thrown out on the tables for drying. So we sometimes have to help push them through the chute to get them into the bags, but that's just a part of it. And from here we take it over to a sealer bar. It's a heat sealer, and we seal each bag individually. And there you have it. There's the first bag there. Well, I want to thank you for watching this little video. Hope it has been somewhat informative for you. Thank you again. Maybe if you are in Saskatchewan, in the Warman area, you could stop in at our shop and come and try out some of these fantastic pasta products that we make at Delloy Pasta.